Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're looking at the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Sea Dweller reference 16660. You can see this vintage 666 on our website, watchyouwant.com. Purchase it there. And if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. You can also click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of this video at any time to see our full listing for this watch with additional photographs and complete pricing information. On my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, the 666 Sea Dweller definitely has more physical presence and substance than the contemporary Submariner. Now, this is an 8.9 million serial number, vintage 666. Second series with the gloss dial and the applied white gold indices. It's approximately a 1986 model year. Now, it does have a very substantial 15mm thickness. This was extraordinary back in the mid-80s, as it would have been one of the most imposing watches you could buy at the time. Now, you can see the cantilever of the bezel means that this is a true diving instrument, unlikely to slip under the tightest dress cuffs or sleeves. But the watch does have moderate side-to-side span. Now, 40mm across the round of the case, not including the crown guards or the crown. The watch is 48 if measured from lug to lug, but the Sea Dweller, significantly, was one of the first Rolex watches to receive solid end links in its bracelet. And while this is a later mid-90s V-series solid end link 93-150 bracelet, it has the same solid end links as the original 93-160. And you can see how they add a little bit of span from edge to edge. So if you want to measure the absolute girth of this watch, from top to bottom across the broad of the wrist, you're going to be talking about 50mm, 50.5. Again, a more modern presence for a watch built 30 years ago. Now, the watch has, as mentioned, a somewhat later 93-150 solid end link bracelet. The clasp is in outstanding condition. It does show some evidence of having been refinished, as the Rolex crown is a little bit worn down, but functionally it is outstanding, and it includes a very convenient Rolex flip-lock dive extension. Now, what I like about these is that even if you stay high and dry, you can use these dive extensions over a winter coat or a thick sweater. Again, you don't have to be a diver in a wetsuit to appreciate that little bit of extension, especially if, like me, you went to school in the cold north. New Hampshire, let me tell you, I had a dive watch, never took it in the water, but I used that dive extension often. Now, the case itself features some of the advancements over the earlier and first generation 1665 Sea Dweller. It is thicker, it does have an upgraded helium escape valve, but the general profile of the watch is defined by that patina dial. Now, there were two principal generations of 666 Sea Dweller dials. There were the first ones from the model's debut in 1978 to about 1985, and right around the 8.5, 8.6 million serial number range, Rolex rolled over from a matte dial with printed indices to a gloss dial with applied white gold indices. And what you see here is a very intact, original patinaed tritium dial. Now, this is from that second series with the gloss base and the white gold, and within that second series, it's the second of the second series. So a second series Mark II, and you can tell because it has a little bit of a taller crown, the coronet at 12, as well as the hash or the hyphen between C and Dweller at the 6 o'clock station. Now, you will notice that the watch has had a service replacement bezel from Rolex. It's also had service replacement hands. As you can see, the patina doesn't quite match the Luminova at center. This is nice from a functional standpoint because your watch will be visible in low or no light, though it does have that vintage patina very even and beautifully preserved. Because of the luminescent hands and bezel, you will be able to read this watch at night, so it still has that functional integrity. Now, there were a couple of upgrades to the 666, which is considered a transitional reference. It only ran from approximately 1978 to 1988, and compared to the 1665, the first generation Submariner 2000, or Sea Dweller as it was known, this one is upgraded inside and out. Now, inside, we go from an old 1570 Rolex caliber with a 19,800 vibration per hour beat rate to a more contemporary caliber 3035 with the still current modern beat rate of 28,800 vibrations per hour, so higher potential precision. It is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. You also gained the convenience of a quick set date. Moreover, for the first time, we had a unidirectional bezel, not bidirectional. We take that feature for granted today, but it actually debuted on the Sea Dwellers with the 666. Moreover, the watch featured increased depth rating, which is handy, but you don't have to be a deep-sea diver to appreciate just a sturdier build and more robust seals about the case, the crown, and of course the helium escape valve. Now, it's also worth mentioning that the sapphire crystal was a new addition over the thick plexi of the previous model, and this gives the watch the kind of scratch resistance that we expect of a contemporary timepiece. That's why the 666 is considered a great collectible classic and a wearable collectible. It's a watch you can wear every day because most of the modern Rolex standards are present. Now, the 3035 is in most respects just like the 3135 that succeeded it. It's 27 rather than 31 jewels. It has a balanced cock rather than a balanced bridge, but in terms of ruggedness, chronometric performance, and the approximately 45-hour power reserve, very much what you still see on contemporary Rolex watches. Moreover, whereas the true vintage watches that are 40, 50, 60 years old, even the first-generation Sea Dwellers, have really passed beyond the point where you want to get them wet and risk them in the fashion that they were designed to be worn, quite frankly, the 666 is still very serviceable and can be restored to its original rated depth rating. Seals, spare parts are readily available, so this watch can be worn and enjoyed even as transitional Rolex references from the 1980s become very collectible pieces. You can see this transitional 666, the wicked one, on our website, watchyouwant.com.